Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Phyllis and Damian's one-night stand hot encounter brings chance for love. The Young and the Restless YNR spoilers reveal that Phyllis Summers' Michelle Stafford could find herself feeling frustrated and lonely as Billy Abbott's Jason Thompson romance with Sally Spectra Courtney Hope moves along. Phyllis doesn't think Sally is the right match for Billy, but she'll have to watch them grow closer anyway. Of course, that leaves fans wondering about Phyllis' next love interest. It's possible Phyllis will steal Billy away at some point, but he honestly doesn't seem interested in a reunion, and deep down, she doesn't either. This feels more like a case of Phyllis thinking she knows best and trying to steer Billy down the path she wants. That said, it's been a long time since Phyllis had someone to keep her warm at night. It'd be nice to see Phyllis fall for someone else on canvas, maybe even someone new to Genoa City. That brings us to the real Damian King Jermaine Rivers, who obviously just got to GC and doesn't have a love interest just yet. We could certainly imagine Phyllis crossing paths with Damian at the GCAC bar or jazz lounge and hitting it off with him. Damian might end up looking for comfort after he finds out Amy Lewis Valerie Pettiford has leukemia and that she lied to him about who his father was for so many years. On top of all that, Damian has a half-brother he never knew existed, one who's been scheming with Amy to help her mend fences before she passes away. That's a lot for anyone to take in, so we could buy the idea of Damian needing to blow off some steam in bed with a lovely lady. Phyllis and Damian could easily have a one-night stand that benefits them both. Since Damian is an extremely successful businessman, Phyllis might even see the potential to partner up with him in some way. Damian and Phyllis wouldn't necessarily have to sizzle again or let this connection become more than one hookup. It could be as simple as two strangers coming together when they really need some mutual support. On the other hand, maybe Phyllis and Damian's bond could grow into something that surprises them both. Damian is the kind of guy who wants to avoid drama, but perhaps that's exactly why he needs a dramatic woman like Phyllis for an opposites attract love story. How would you feel about Phyllis and Damian getting paired up? Our YNR predictions hint that some romantic surprises are still to come in Genoa City, so stay tuned for updates on any news that might involve Damian and Phyllis. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Phyllis will continue to find new ways to stir up trouble no matter what. The warm glow of the Grand Phoenix's penthouse suite flickered against the windows as Phyllis Summers poured herself another glass of wine. The city lights of Genoa City stretched beyond the glass, shimmering like diamonds against the midnight sky. She exhaled sharply, swirling the deep red liquid in her glass, her mind racing faster than she'd like. Tonight had been one of those nights, the kind where emotions ran high, tension snapped, and old wounds bled fresh again. She had spent the evening facing off against her latest adversary in the business world, barely escaping with her pride intact. But the battlefield of corporate warfare had drained her, leaving a hollow loneliness she rarely admitted to. And then there was Damian. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be anything more than a fleeting presence, a new face in Genoa City's intricate web of power players. But he had a way of getting under her skin, a way of seeing past the sharp edges she wielded like a weapon. When she turned, he was standing in the doorway, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. "You always drink alone?" he asked, his deep voice sending a shiver down her spine. Phyllis rolled her eyes, feigning annoyance. "I didn't invite you up here for small talk." He chuckled, stepping closer, his presence commanding yet effortless. "No, I suppose you didn't." Their eyes locked, the unspoken tension sizzling between them. It had been building for weeks, ever since Damian had arrived in town. He was enigmatic, powerful, and dangerously charming. He challenged her in ways others didn't dare to, calling her out when necessary, matching her wit for wit. Tonight, the challenge had reached a breaking point. "You're playing a dangerous game, Phyllis," he murmured, his fingers grazing the stem of her wine glass. She arched a brow, tilting her head defiantly. "I like danger." A slow smile spread across his face. "I was hoping you'd say that." The air between them grew thick, a charge crackling like lightning in a storm. She barely registered who moved first. Maybe it was him, maybe it was her, but the next thing she knew, his lips were on hers, hot and insistent. It wasn't gentle, and neither of them wanted it to be. This wasn't about romance, it was about release, about drowning in something that wasn't responsibilities or past regrets. Their bodies pressed together, hands roaming, exploring with urgency. Phyllis felt herself surrender to the sensation, letting the night take her where it wanted. For once, she wasn't strategizing, she wasn't plotting, she was just feeling. They stumbled toward the bed, knocking over the half-empty bottle of wine in their wake. Clothes hit the floor, whispers dissolved into sighs, and the world outside the penthouse ceased to exist. It was just them, two forces of nature colliding in the most primal way possible. Morning came too soon. Phyllis woke to the soft golden light filtering through the curtains, illuminating the sheets tangled around her. For a moment, she stayed still, listening to the rhythmic breathing beside her. Damian was still asleep, his bare chest rising and falling steadily. He looked different, like this, unguarded, almost peaceful. She hesitated, emotions warring inside her. One-night stands weren't unfamiliar territory, but this felt different. More significant. That wasn't part of the plan. As if sensing her thoughts, Damian stirred, his eyes fluttering open. He studied her, a slow smirk forming. "You look like you're about to bolt." She scoffed, slipping out of bed and reaching for her robe. "Don't flatter yourself." He propped himself up on one elbow, watching her with knowing amusement. "You and I both know last night wasn't just some impulsive decision." She turned to face him, arms crossed. "It was exactly that. Two consenting adults, having a good time. That's all." Damian sat up fully now, running a hand through his tousled hair. "You keep telling yourself that, Red." Her jaw clenched at the nickname, equal parts annoyed and intrigued. "I don't do relationships," she stated firmly. "I never said anything about a relationship." He shrugged, amusement still dancing in his eyes. "But I think we both know this isn't over." Phyllis hated how much that idea thrilled her. "Go ahead, keep pretending you're not curious," he continued, swinging his legs over the bed and standing. "That you don't wonder what it would be like if you let someone in." She stiffened, hating how easily he read her. "You don't know me." He stepped closer, his fingers brushing her arm, sending an involuntary shiver down her spine. "Not yet," he murmured. "But I'd like to." For once, Phyllis didn't have a snappy retort. As Damian dressed and prepared to leave, she watched him with wary curiosity. This wasn't just a meaningless night, no matter how much she wanted to pretend otherwise. He had gotten to her, cracked something she'd worked so hard to keep fortified. The question now was, what would she do about it? As the door clicked shut behind him, Phyllis Summers found herself staring at the empty glass on the nightstand, her mind buzzing with possibilities. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something neither of them saw coming.